every time he kept getting away. But how was that possible, you might ask? It's estimated that 80% of all burglaries are committed by people on drugs. But Colt, he was sober. Every house he broke into always had the alcohol untouched. He didn't have a car, so they couldn't pull him over. He lived off of the grid. And most importantly, the kid was young and healthy. But as the legend of Colton Harrismore grew with his Facebook fan page at 15,000 members, the town was on edge. The gun shop sold out of ammos and shotguns. Security cameras were placed everywhere, and residents assumed every crime in the town was Colt's fault. I mean, a 17-year-old burglar with nothing left to lose, yeah, that's going to keep you up at night. Stalking the local
airport. Crazy. And then his most crazy feat,
on the Orcas Islands for days. Colt was hiding out in the forest, watching the takeoffs and landings. He knew when the staff worked, where they would be at, and took action. Before sunrise, he walked up to a brand new Cessna 182 Skyline. He had flown this plane in video games hundreds of times. He had
video games, Microsoft Flight Sim 90. This is the 95 version. And trust me, I used to play the 2010 version and stuff. I mean, I used to have the whole computer set up. I had the joystick, the rudder controls, all that.
Roughly how to fly it, maybe even how to start it. He found the keys on the seat.
Even though with all the time I've spent on Microsoft Flight Sim from little to big aircraft, never would I think I could just hop in a plane and get it to fly. Hell to the no.
He read the owner's manual, rolled the plane out to the runway, and without much thought, started the engine and took off. Now, flying into the mountains, Colin couldn't believe it. That adrenaline burst of actually flying a plane without a license. Now, you may wonder, how is this possible? Wouldn't air traffic control see a random plane that never reported itself and maybe think it's a little suspicious? Well, in America, if you don't cross any restricted flying areas and stay under
you gotta be kidding me.
18,000 feet,
So if you stay under 18,000 feet and you're in a private aircraft, unless it's reported stolen and they see you take off and get on your trail fast, then dang.
Free to fly wherever the fuck you want. But you see, in flying, landing is the hardest part.
Whoa.
And once Colt
you got that
looked
right.
At the gas gauge and realized he was almost out because he never checked it before he left.
Wow.
He needed to land now. So he finds a flat patch within the mountains, lines up the plane, prays to God, and
crashes.
The landing gear was destroyed. The propeller was twisted up. And once Colt woke up,
he's lucky as hell.
Up from being knocked out, he threw up all over the plane.
Well, I bet they enjoyed cleaning that up.
After 6 months of no reported break-ins or burglaries within the area, locals thought Colt maybe was done, maybe even dead. But his war against the police was still very on. So
war against the police?
Arriving in the town 6 months later, he gets into a police car.
Oh, well, that might, yeah, maybe he is going after the police.
Steals the officer's cell phone, ticket book, breathalyzer.
Why would his ticket book and breathalyzer be any abused?
Laptop and his MP15.
Holy yeah, that's going to be a cause for concern.
Assault rifle with the box of rounds. So,
of course.
Far Colt hadn't harmed anyone physically, but
now
he was armed. Who knew what he was capable of?
If he gets backed into a corner because of everything that he's done, if he has a weapon, I wouldn't put it past him to use it.
Now, while some saw the act as
could be true, especially if he's thinking like, oh, they're going to really put me to prison forever now.
Daring, others loved that a kid was sticking it to the cops, living life on his terms. A Robin Hood that didn't give back to the poor, but instead had a fan club selling.
Wow, mama tried. Actually, if you actually research his backstory, she didn't. So, lie detector determines that shirt is a lie.
Merch with his face on it. And Colin made sure to give his fans a great show. So on September 8th, he steals a $250,000 boat and heads towards the Friday Harbor.
Because, why not?
There, he stalks the local airport and steals a $1 million airplane. This time,
because hell, he's already stole a Cessna. Why not upgrade?
Was filled with gas and crash landed.
Oh, he made sure this time it had gas.
Lands it all the way back on the Orcas Islands. Now,
still crash landed.
The police knew he was there on the Orcas Islands, maybe at the airport or the dock. Somehow he gets through the police barricade, steals a twin-engine boat, goes full speed all the way up towards Canada, and illegally crosses the border.
You be kidding me.
So over the course of a week, he commits some more burglaries, steals a couple more cars, and road trips all the way across to Creston, Canada.
Hell, if he came straight south, he'd be in my state by now. Good Lord Almighty, man, this kid got gone.
Literally the middle of North America. There, he steals an Escalade and heads down the Bonnevers Ferry in Idaho. Mind you, this is a kid doing all of this. Now, the one smart thing Colt never did was fill his...
That's what I find crazy. And this little thing right here, this little tidbit of information, for this kid to think of this and know this little doodad is crazy.
car up with gas at a gas station.
He never went to a gas station.
You know, they have security cameras, they track the cars. Easily the police could see where you were probably going. So if a car ran out of gas that Colt stole, he would just leave it there, break into another one, and steal that until he got to his next spot. Pretty smart.
That's while some people would say, well, he's going to have like more stolen cars. Won't that trail lead to him? A lot slower probably than gas station surveillance. I'll tell you that.
Smart kid, honestly. A day later, he steals another airplane and flies all the way.
Especially if he steals a car or makes sure to steal a car that might be like an extra or something that somebody's not actively driving, then yeah, he's going to have a lot more time in between car thefts to keep getting distance between himself.
From Idaho back to Granite Falls, Washington, where he actually lands the plane safely in the middle of the mountain.
Wow, his first safe landing on number 3. This kid has stolen 3 planes now. You know how unusual plane theft is? That is like, number 1, especially now after 9/11, they do not take that lightly. And number 2, like I said, it's unusual. It's a big federal deal to steal a plane and fly it without a license.
Mountains. Now, pretty soon, the local hometown once again had a huge burst in burglaries. He's doing the usual, living in the empty vacation homes, eating stolen tendies, and also bringing a ton of heat. You see, aircraft theft is one of the rarest forms of theft in the world. Now, rumors at the time were that it was some rogue pilot who had stolen the plane to go on a quick trip to impress some girl he was seeing, but they couldn't be any more wrong. It was a kid. Now, even with the police...
I can't believe they still haven't linked this to him yet.
Swarming his hometown, Colt starts breaking into grocery stores, stealing thousands of dollars in cash, and leaving footprints with the tag...
Wow.
See ya. Now he's doing...
Holy shit, that's some bold shit.
Doing all of this barefoot, and the media christened him with the name the Barefoot Bandit.
A stolen airplane and grocery store burglary, complete with telltale chalk outlines of bare feet, has folks on Washington State's San Juan Islands worried the burglar known as the Barefoot Bandit has returned.
First, I thought it was a joke.
Police think the burglary is the handiwork of Colton Harris Moore. The team is suspected of stealing airplanes, boats, and luxury cars and breaking into dozens of homes and businesses.
Finally, you guys get it that it's him.
In the area, only to disappear into the woods without a trace.
Now, people fell in love with Colt. He had a huge fan base. Mind you, it's 2010. The recession's still on. Bankers got bailed out. Corporations got billions. The common man was kind of screwed out of all of it. So in rejection of all of that, Colt took life into his own hands and was living life on his own terms, outsmarting not only the police and the DHS and the FBI, but the government itself. Though by now, city officials on the island informed all of the residents that there were now dozens of armed bounty hunters stalking the forest looking for Colt, creeping in their backyards, searching in the empty homes, but Colt was already long gone. On the morning of May 30th, 2010, a letter shows up on the front doorstep of an Oregon animal hospital. Drove by, had some extra cash. Please use this money for the care of the animals. Colton Harris Moore, aka the Barefoot Bandit. For his legion of Facebook fans, I gotta say, that's a smooth move. I mean, who could hate a kid that was from a rough home who just loved some animals? But what it really implied was, you can't catch me. Because Colt had stolen a full-on racing boat and drove all the way towards Oregon, where he had talked over the phone with some attorneys about selling the rights to his life story for a potential movie. But
man, this kid is way beyond his years.
People knew the story just couldn't end well. We're talking stolen planes, stolen guns, stolen boats. So another attorney's office comes forward and makes a deal with Colt. Now, you see, an anonymous donor said that if Colt turns himself in, Colt would get $50,000, and the attorney's office would represent him at court, all for free. But
Man, and let me guess, he's not going to take it.
that deal was to expire within 5 days. We're talking about a fugitive collecting his own bounty. Unheard of. But 5 days later, not a word from Colt. And that anonymous
He should have taken it.
donor is still to this day unknown. Now, the FBI was showing up to his mom's house every day, searching the home, warning her that harboring a fugitive, it's a felony. But all she wanted to know was her son even alive? And she would fall deeper into the pit of alcoholism.
A woman, but still, you can't have too much sympathy for her because, I mean, she kind of didn't do well by her kid growing, raising him either.
Now, over the course of a week, he starts stealing several more cars and starts road tripping all the way to Yankton, South Dakota. Now, arriving at midnight, he needed a place to kind of hang out. So he cased out several homes in the area until he found the one with no cars in the driveway. He thought if they weren't home by midnight, they were probably gone on vacation. Hungry and filthy, he puts his clothes in the washer at the house. He heats up the oven and makes some frozen tendies for himself.
Man, this dude's obsessed with chicken tenders.
He goes upstairs, gives himself a haircut with the trimmer he found. He finally hopped in the shower to relax after a long week of road tripping. At 3 a.m., the Clark family had come back from a
Holy shit.
long vacation. With their eyes half asleep, they headed inside the house with their bags ready to just pass out. But something was off. The TV was still on. Jello containers were stacked on the floor. Frozen tendies were heated up. Now, as the dad walks into all of the rooms, he notices at the end of the hallway, the bathroom door is slightly open. And as he reaches out to open the door, it slams shut. The dad, a 340-pound dude, muscles the door open until a naked man covered in lotion sprints towards out the basement. Now, the dad's chasing, get out of the house, get out of the house. And by the time he got to the basement with this adrenaline pumping, a red laser
Hell to the no.
pops up on his chest. Colt let it be known that he was armed.
Man, and that's when I'd be like, okay, you can stay, and I would take
Now,
off.
the dad locks the basement, runs to the car with his family inside, breaking the garage door as he's backing out, and heads over to his neighbor's house to call 911. Now, Colt's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. His clothes were still in the washer. I mean, he's literally trapped in the basement. Minutes later,
He put R. Kelly strapped in the closet.
the officers swarmed the house on the lookout for a naked man covered in lotion with a gun. There was no way on God's green earth Colt was going to get out of this one. But once the SWAT team bashed in the door and the K-9s were let loose, and after an hour of searching every nook and cranny of that house, no one was inside. So with the forest close by, bloodhounds and helicopters with thermal cameras are searching all over the area, but Colt had escaped.
Wow.
This time it was close. Holy. Now you see, Colt had smashed the washer to grab open his clothes, spilling gallons of water into the basement, grabbed his bag, and because he was so skinny, slipped out of the basement window, broke into the neighbor's house, and stole their car keys and dipped out real fast. And after the Clark family was shown a mugshot of Colin, they confirmed that the naked man with the gun covered in lotion was Colin Harrismore. Now, while the FBI didn't know
Oh, come
exactly
on.
where he was headed or where he was, they had a rough idea. Colt loved to steal near small airports. Now, within the week, Homeland Security held meetings with every private plane owner in all of the surrounding states, warning them of the Barefoot Bandit. They told the pilots to lock their planes, make sure they were safe, don't leave the keys on the seat. And Colt actually knew about these meetings because he had saw Homeland Security going around. Now, for a week, Colton was waiting out in the forest near the Monroe County Airport, reading the magazines he took, surviving off the food he stole, and he was waiting to find the perfect plane to escape the country. Now, Colt knew his limits. He would only steal planes that he had flown in video games, which is insane to think about. And on the 4th of July, that moment happened. During the sunrise, Colt snuck into the hangar and rolled out a brand new Cessna 400, about a $700,000 plane,
Good God.
with the keys on the seat. He made sure to fill it up with gas, went through the pilot's checklist, started the engine, took off in the plane, and headed down south. Happy 4th of July. Now, doing the math, the Cessna 400 should be able to go all the way to Cuba on one tank of gas, if
Holy crap.
There was no crazy winds. Now, Cuba's got its benefits. There's no extradition treaty, and even though Colt didn't speak Spanish, he'd figure it out. But instead of Cuba, he had actually flown towards the Bermuda Triangle.
Not good.
And of course, started to run out of gas and needed to land
Not good.
ASAP. Now, flying over water is dangerous. There is no emergency landing, but luckily, Colt was near some islands. So in between the sand and the palm trees, he finds a patch of land, lines up the planes, puts down the flaps, prays to God, and he lands. As the wheels touched the ground, they got stuck in the wet sand, absolutely destroying the aircraft. And it would set off the emergency locator
I
transmitter.
hope these messages are
Managed to
blocked.
keep it level somehow. As you can see, the nose.
You mean y'all didn't block that guy that had said those messages for real? Like, seriously? Yeah, I missed Iceman too, but apparently you don't trust me or whatever. Oh, somebody came on StreamYard and I get it's not registered on here, but they were on StreamYard. I don't know how they pull that off. It's a hack they do. Big Bad Pedo Perv Locale was the name of the channel, saying that they notified my school and they've notified my doctor and everything else that I'm trying to da 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 da. They don't know what I'm doing. They have no idea what I'm doing or what my treatment is or anything because I haven't shared anything about it. So, they can keep trying to guess. They probably think that I'm like, um, I don't know what they think I'm doing, but it doesn't matter to them, and I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing. So I think that's what they're trying to do by reverse psychology, by saying things and trying to get me to actually tell what really is going on and whatnot. So then they can maybe somehow attack things from that. I got to be careful. They're really sneaky. They know how to manipulate, and they've manipulated me so much. And I just want to be left alone. I mean, I want to be able to be on the internet and be able to make friends with good, decent people without having to deal with this stuff. This live stream and any other live stream I've ever done has always been with the disclaimer that's for entertainment, education, or informational purposes only. And it's always just the result of the opinions of the people on or whatever, and not of any organization or at all. Because they could try to, that's one way they could have tried to attack before is organizations I belong to. And now that they think that because I'm in a school or whatever, and they think they've guessed the correct one or whatever, I guess from my Facebook, and that they think that they can somehow take clips and stuff that they edit or whatever and use that along with their hate-filled rhetoric and false accusations and somehow use that to ruin my time in school. It is evil. Number one, it's evil because it's untrue what they're trying to do, and it's unrelated. It's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with it. part-time viewer, I wouldn't say stuff like that. Um, you would just be, that's not the way to do it. What needs to happen is they need to be held accountable some way. And people tell the truth of what is. Hold on just a second. Hello? Okay, yeah, y'all can hear me. All right, let me get back to this video.
Is in the grass. He got out of that plane reportedly uninjured and headed into the island.
Because within seconds, it had sent a SOS signal to the U.S. Coast Guards via GPS. And Colt knew he needed to get the hell out of there. Now, when the
So he still goes on the run. He gets away from a plane.
U.S. Coast Guard's about your plane crashing in the Bahamas, you would be freaked out. Now, this came as a shock because remember when Homeland Security held those meetings with all of the private plane owners, warning them of this kid plane thief? Well, the owner of that plane, Mr. Miller, wasn't there. And after the staff at the hangar confirmed the Cessna 400 wasn't there anymore, the U.S. Coast Guard and Bahamian Defense Force were told the craft was stolen, and most likely it was Colton Harris Moore in the 5th plane he had stolen. Now, within minutes of the
5 planes. This 16-year-old now is up to stealing.
crash landing, Colton walked barefoot into the jungle and towards the first site of civilization. Now, he had actually picked a really good time to come to the Bahamas. It was 4th. But as the week went on, the military locked down all of the airports. Police were brought in from other islands, and wanted posters were placed all across of Colt's face.
Bahamas police have been searching for the fugitive for days since a stolen plane was found ditched offshore, but he promised to intensify their hunt for
all on the harbor. But from the ocean, a boat glides in towards the dock, and a white boy yells, "Did you hear about the plane I crashed?" Music cuts, and a local replies, "Who are you?" "Colton Harris." Holy hell, this was the kid from the wanted posters, armed and dangerous, stolen planes all over the world. But the local just played it cool. He asked Colt why he was so far from home. "Too many cops, so where are your cops?" Then the local replied, "Well, we don't really have that many cops." "Well, call them. I'm bored. I want to get chased." And as the man
This kid is crazy.
thought it was a joke, started laughing, "Call the cops. I want to get chased for real. Call them." And as the local pulled out his phone, Colt started up his engine and screamed, "I'm gone. Read about me on the internet," and took off towards the bay. And all the locals could think was, what the was that? Now, as Colt was after him, but once the guard saw that pistol, he backed off, realizing he didn't get paid. He's doing his business. He heard a man run outside, jump in a boat, and take off. God damn it, it was Colt hiding in the bushes, waiting for that perfect moment the entire time. Even
He got
better,
away
had a
again.
full tank of gas. Missed the boat's G was to put his hands up until Colt fired one shot at the officers and gassed up the boat, hoping to make some last escape. But the police would pepper the side of his boat with 20 rounds all throughout the boat's hull. As the smoke
Wow.
cleared, Colt rose his hands and he was placed in the handcuffs. He was done. Now, what's insane is that the Bahamian police actually captured Colt without anyone getting killed. That wouldn't happen in the U.S., let's be honest. Now, Colt was wanted by the
Oh shit.
FBI,
Dude took a swipe at you.
U.S. Marshals, dozens of police departments, Homeland Security, Canadian Mounties, and the Bahamian government, and they
He's wanted all over.
all wanted him to pay for his crimes. But the Bahamian government had their first pick, and man, were they proud of it. Parading Colt around in that perk walk, and with 5 burglaries, 3 boat thefts, possession of a loaded firearm, firing at an officer, that's probably going to get you a decade at the infamous Bahamian Fox Hill prison, considered one of the worst prisons in the world. But they only had one charge for Colt, and that was not presenting his passport when he entered the country.
Colton Harris Moore was captured Sunday in the Bahamas after a high-speed boat chase
It's a slap on the wrist.
with authorities. He was fined $300, which the U.S. Embassy paid and sent back to the U.S.
And police officials, they're all smiling, chuckling, so he got a slap on the wrist, basically. So I don't think he's too worried about it. I think he's got some more problems waiting for him in the States, though.
Yeah, he's got problems at home.
Now, American prosecutors had to wrangle 67 felonies in 3 different countries and wrap it up all into one court case. And honestly,
Can y'all tell who his lawyer is yet?
he was looking about 20 to 30 years in prison. Now, Colton had hired one of the most infamous attorneys in the game, the guy that you call when the evidence is stacked against you. John Henry Brown. Never heard of it? Ted Bundy's
Lawyer.
attorney. Now, they had calculated the restitution for the planes, the cars, the homes, the search operations at a staggering $1.4 million that Colt was going to pay. Now, remember that whole movie deal he was trying to set up, selling his life story? Well, the courts mandated that to pay back all of the victims, he was going to sell the rights to his life story for a potential movie to Fox Entertainment for $1 million. And then let's say that the victims are paid back in full one day, he still could never make money from anything about his life story. We're talking books, t-shirts, video games, anything. And while this may seem harsh, the courts wanted it to be known that crime doesn't pay. Now, Attorney Brown's specialty isn't defending the crimes, but rather why they happened. Now, they showed that Colt's home life really was that bad.
Mitigating factors.
His mom never fed him. His dad never paid the child support. His mom drank during her pregnancy and diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome. And Colt said he was going to go to college after this and he was going to get his life together. And the court felt sympathy for Colt, including the judge, stating, "I think this case is a tragedy, but also a triumph of human spirit. I sympathize with the defendant for his terrible upbringing that he had. It was a tragedy he had to steal food, to endure an alcoholic and abusive mother. But nevertheless, the sentence is 6 years. I wish him well." Now, a decade later, and out of prison, we don't know much about Colt, about what he's up to today. Now, from the few interviews he's given, he spoke about hating the moniker the Barefoot Bandit, and he wishes to move on from that. And now, I actually contacted Colt to honestly hear his side of the story. What has he been up to? What is he doing? But I got no response. I called him, emailed him, even visited him in Washington. Friends say that he changed his number and he went off of the grid and no one knows where he's really at.
He wants to be on his own and get past all that stuff. I understand. Well, I think that was a great video. I think Vince Vintage did a great job. Make sure to check this out. I'm going to leave it in the description of the video. I appreciate everybody coming out here today. Like I said, they can say what they want to. I'm going to do things how I want to. And it's not meant to be done in a way for them or really anybody to understand it. It's my understanding and why I'm doing it. All right, because I know I just continued the story on here. Have a good day. It's my channel, my business. You got that right. I don't know what you took back your message for, Nunya, but I hope you're doing okay. Haven't heard from you. I think I tried to message you the only way I know how. But yep. Gene had to get off here because Iceman had called him and I guess they had snitched on him about being allowed to be on the call on speakerphone before. So I tried to go offline and say hi to him, and even though Gene assured him that I was offline and I wasn't recording him, you know, he had the audacity to say, "I don't trust that dude." So I was like, "Oh, okay." Me, the guy that's been talking and defending your mom and honoring you by playing songs that you like and everything else. Yeah, you don't trust me. Oh, okay, guys. All right, man. Well, that's all right, dude. Good to know. Y'all, I mean, if he can touch on Gene and chance, like, he's to talk about him and, add things. Peace.